Let me explain why I am up here to introduce the person who will introduce our program. This is Rotary Foundation Month. It always is November. And Rotary, as most of you have learned who've been in a while, every program we have, whether it's Rotary Scholars, whether it's the Group Study Exchange Team, whether it's our 12,000 youth exchange students, whatever it might be, is geared towards world peace and understanding. That's the bottom line, including all of the 40-some world community service projects that our club does. They're all bottom line is to promote world peace and understanding. And that's because many years ago, Rotary decided as long as there was ignorance, poverty, hunger, and disease in our world, we weren't going to have a peaceful world. So that's why our programs are geared like that. The newest program of our Rotary Foundation are Peace Scholarships. There are 7 universities around the world. They take 10 people in each year. It's a 2-year course, a master's degree in conflict resolution. And that's the latest thing that our foundation is up to. So at any one year, we've got 140 students around the world that Rotary's paying for in various countries and universities to promote world peace and understanding by learning about conflict resolution. Well, your speaker today is one of the real peacemakers, a hands-on guy. When I talked to our program chairman, Ed Crabtree, about him, I thought maybe we couldn't do anything more appropriate to recognize our foundation than have a program on peace. And one of our speakers, longtime friends and former compatriot and some of their things around the world, is Steve Werner from the Denver Southeast Rotary Club. So since they're good friends, I'd like to have Steve come up and introduce the program. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Grant, and thanks very much, Rotary Club of Denver. This feels like my second club since I have so many friends here, but I asked if I could introduce Chic. His nickname is Chic Dumbach, Charles Dumbach. He's the president of the Alliance for Peacebuilding. We've been friends for many, many years, close friends between our families, and we first met because of our work through the Peace Corps Alumni Organization. And like your president, Sue Fox, is also a returned Peace Corps volunteer. We've done a lot of work over the years trying to promote peace and international service work through the Peace Corps alumni connections. But as you'll see in just a few minutes, Chic is one of the foremost authorities on peace building, and he'll talk about peace building and as it relates to how everyday average citizens, including Rotarians, can be involved in peace-building activities. Chic's got a great background. We've both been in the nonprofit field for a long time. Previously, he's been executive director of a couple of different organizations, but the one immediately preceding the Alliance for Peacebuilding was Operation Respect, which is a nonprofit that was started by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary fame. Chic has been the president of the Alliance for Peacebuilding for a few years, and he came to that organization because of actual peace-building work he's done in both Eritrea and Ethiopia and the Congo. And he'll speak to that in just a few minutes, so I won't tell you more about that at this time. Chic, though, has a very diverse background. He's done many things in his career. He was also a volunteer leader of the National Canoeing and Kayak Association. He's a kayaking expert. And in that role, he was also a judge for the kayaking competition at 3 different Olympics. And so he's done an awful lot in his career, and he has the greatest family. He lives just north of Annapolis, even though the Alliance for Peacebuilding is based in downtown Washington, D.C. And he has a great wife, Kay, and 3 children, 3 boys. One works for the city of Newark, the other is at the University of Maryland, and the youngest is a senior in high school. So without further ado, Chic, thanks for coming and presenting this message today.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's always a treat to come and spend time with Steve. He often stays at our home when he's in Washington, and I have the opportunity to stay at his home while I'm here in Denver on this trip, and really appreciate it. And Grant, where is Grant? There you are. Thanks so much for all you do and for your comments and your connections with Rotary International. We're building those relationships as well, as we'll see in just a minute, and it's a great partnership, and we appreciate it. Let me figure out how to use the remote here. I'm going to start off with an audacious suggestion that peace is possible. And that may sound like the rantings of a leftover peacenik from the 60s, to which I plead guilty. But what I'm really quoting is Rotary International in a summit that was held in April of this year. And the title of it was Peace is Possible. Rotary International believes that peace is possible. And part of the message that I want to share with you today is that that concept is more true today than it has ever been, and I will show you why. And that may come as a surprise to you, but that concept has reality written all over it today. Just to prove that I have a direct connection with Rotary and Rotary International, that's a picture taken just about 6 weeks ago at the headquarters in Evanston, and I'm there in the middle. This is meeting with some of the Peace Scholars in the Rotary program and people at the foundation. The lady that is in the middle of that picture with us is Harriet Fulbright. Harriet is the widow of Senator J. William Fulbright, for whom the Rotary Scholars Program is named, and of course the former chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and Harriet is working very closely with us on these projects. But I just had to prove that I've been to your headquarters in Evanston, and in fact they are supporting one of the projects I'll talk about in just a minute. And it started off saying peace is possible, and that it's more possible today than perhaps at any time in history. This is not a chart showing your stock portfolio, though the graph would probably be pretty similar. But the good news is this is a chart showing the number of violent conflicts around the world. And contrary to our impression, if you follow the news, it looks like the world is just in terrible shape, that violence is breaking out all over. The fact of the matter is it's been breaking out all over for a long, long time, and it's actually breaking out less now than it used to. There are actually fewer wars. The red on that is the old colonial conflicts where the former colonies fighting for their independence. That has run its course. The yellow is interstate conflicts between countries. The larger portion of it, the gray color, is intrastate conflicts. And what you have is far more violence happening within countries than between countries than we have had in the past. Very significant development. Furthermore, even a more dramatic decline is in the battle deaths, the people who actually die in violent conflicts. And this again comes as a big surprise. But let me put it in a little bit of context. We're all terribly concerned about the fact that over 4,000 U.S. soldiers have died in Iraq. But it wasn't very long ago, certainly within the lifetime of most of us in here, not all, but most of us, that we fought a war in Vietnam. How many American soldiers died in Vietnam? 58,000. More than 10 times as many. It's not that it's good news that we have these two wars going on, Iraq and Afghanistan, but at least the severity of it in terms of casualties is far fewer. A figure you almost never hear, how many Vietnamese died in that war? 4 million. 4 million Vietnamese died in that war. 4 million. The figure that we hear for Iraq is somewhere around 100,000. Nobody really knows for sure. That's just a way of illustrating the fact that we're actually, in terms of the frequency and severity of violent conflicts, we're actually doing much, much better today than we did in the fairly recent history. Another way of looking at this is to take a look at the countries that are at peace. I always encounter people who find out what they do, and I'm accused of being an idealist and naive, and